A very good morning to one and all. On behalf of MIT School of Architecture and Planning and MIT School of Fashion Technology, MIT University Chhattisgarh, we welcome you all to a two-day international conference on recent trends and advancements in the field of designing.
Design is a dynamic field and evolving that influences and shapes how we experience the world. From architecture and interior design to digital and textile innovations, the discipline continues to redefine boundaries. This conference aims to bring together professionals, academicians, researchers, and students to explore recent trends and advancements across various design domains.
To begin this prestigious event on an auspicious note, we will now proceed with the traditional Indian lighting ceremony, a symbol of wisdom, hope, and enlightenment. May I now invite our distinguished dignitaries to kindly come forward and light the ceremonial lamp.
I want the organizing secretaries to join in, please.
हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ तू स्वर की देवी है संगीत तुझसे हर शब्द तेरा है हर गीत तुझसे हम हैं अकेले हम हैं अधूरे तेरी शरण में हमें प्यार दे माँ हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ
Now, allow me to invite our Honorable Acting Director, MIT School of Architecture and Planning, and HOI, MIT School of Fashion Technology, MIT University Chhattisgarh, Professor Dr. Parampreet Kaur, for the welcome address.
Good morning and namaskar to everyone present here. With due respect, I begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to our visionary leaders, Honorable Founder President Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, Honorable Chairman Dr. Asim Chauhan sir, Honorable Chancellor Dr. W. Salvamurthy sir, whose dynamic vision and commitment to excellence in education have paved the way for the institution like ours to create meaningful academic platforms. It is my immense pleasure and honor to welcome you all on behalf of the Amity School of Architecture and Amity School of Fashion Technology for this two-day international conference on recent trends and advancement in the field of designing. At the onset, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. Piyush Kant Pandey, Sir, who is not just a guiding light, but truly the force behind the conception and conduction of this conference. His continuous encouragement, insightful vision, and academic leadership have been instrumental in bringing this event to the life. I would also like to thank our registrar, Dr. Suresh K. Dhani, sir, for being the person and support in the school. I would also like to sincerely thank our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Sumita Dave, for her gracious presence and valuable support in every stage of academic journey. We are privileged we are privileged to have among us today distinguished keynote speakers, respected session chairs, paper presenters, and delegates from diverse institutions and background. Your presence adds immense value to this academic gathering. This conference serves as a platform to bring together professionals and scholars from architecture, interior, fashion, textile, product, and digital design disciplines to explore emerging trend, technology, innovation, sustainability, and the interdisciplinary future of design. Over the course of these 2 days, we shall engage in intellectually stimulating presentations, discussion, and collaborative learning, contributing to both academic enrichment and professional growth. Before concluding, I would like to extend my warm appreciation to our dedicated organizing secretary team, uh, faculty colleagues, technical staff, and student volunteer for their unwavering commitment ensuring the success of this event. A special word of thanks to our design chair, Professor Q.H. Kapadia, sir, for his scholarly insight, generous support, and continuous encouragement through the planning and execution of this conference. Once again, I extend my warm welcome to each and every one of you. Let us work together to make this conference a memorable, enlightening, and forward looking experience. Thank you.
Now, allow me to invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Chhattisgarh, Professor Piyush Kant Pandey, sir. Very prominent, insightful, motivating, and most humble leader. Under his unparalleled leadership, Amity University, Chhattisgarh is achieving new stature in academics, research, and innovation. May I please request, sir, to address the gathering.
Thanks very much, Annie. Our very honorable and esteemed founder president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, our chairman, Dr. Asim Chauhan, our chancellor, Dr. W. Selvamurthy, sitting on the dais today, our registrar, Dr. Dhyani, Dr. Kapadia, Dr. Parampreet Kaur, dear faculty members, all the participants who have connected online. I could see a good number over there from the various parts of India as well as abroad. It is really a great pleasure for me that this is going to be the first international conference organized by MIT School of Architecture and Fashion Technology. I remember the day when Dr. Parampreet had come to me, coming to propound the idea of holding a national seminar. I told her, why do you limit yourself to the nation only? Let the global as the boundary. Of course, we cannot go beyond the global at the moment. So that is what I've suggested. And I'm very happy today that we could see this very good international seminar, international program is being organized by these two schools, wonderful schools. And a very good participation has been received from the various parts of the country as well as abroad. I'm also very happy that very important and prominent keynote speakers have agreed to be a part of this international conference. I could particularly remember right now architect Abraham K. Samuel also. Also, I think Dr. Amanda Briggs, good day. Dr. Cosette Martinez, these three I can see right now. I'm sure more will be joining. And what is particularly more interesting is that the topic of this conference is a wonderful topic, designing. Now see, designing is something, of course, I don't want to limit it to the only architecture or fashion design. Rather, design is something which touches us on every part of our life from the day one of our existence on the earth. Everything, whatever we use, whatever we do, there is some element of designing is there. I remember suppose in mechanical engineering, we gave a task of designing a chair to some of the students. They made a very good drawing, very good, everything was there. But when the teacher asked them, is it comfortable and good for sitting? So the design was very good, the material used were very good, but it was not enough for proper sitting. So what is the fundamental principles of design which I could see is that, first of all, for what purpose it is being designed, that purpose has to be met. Because designing is always for supporting the human needs. Innovation, whatever innovations are required, they are done for this purpose only, that it should be comfortably and ably meeting the human need. On that part, in fact, as Dr. Parampreet was saying, that designing involves various areas. Architecture, interior design is one part. But the product designing, the digital innovation, and also the communication designing. In fact, so many areas are there where designing is becoming a part and parcel of the life. One particular example I'll give you. You must have seen many people who lose their legs on account of any accident or any other problem. Then you must have seen that they use a kind of a prosthetic legs which are there, which are used by the people. And the name which when I'll tell you, you'll identify it more, that is known as Jaipur foot. Now, Jaipur foot, why I always remember that particular example is that, in fact, before the Jaipur foot design, proper design, it was used to be imported from the prosthetic limbs were used to be imported from the foreign countries only. The costing was extremely high, totally unbearable for any Indian. So two persons were there. One Dr. P.K. Sethi was there, and one carpenter, Mr. Ramchand Sharma was there. They took it up and upon themselves that why not to come up with some alternative with a proper new thing which can be used for instead of this imported prosthetic limbs. And they started a research on that. And ultimately, they came up with the idea of making the food by using the locally available material. And today, the Jaipur foot is not, in fact, something which has been a worldwide success. Not only in India, in fact, almost except, let's say, barring the very developed countries, almost all other parts of the world are using the Jaipur foot. That is an example that how a thing, and when you see many people walking with the supporting limbs and all that, they are walking through the Jaipur foot only. That is a wonderful example of how a designing can solve such a major problem. The people who are unable to walk, now they can walk everything properly, and they don't have to suffer from the stigma of being, amputated. The same applies to architecture also. I think Jali wall, I think you must have been knowing Jali wall. What is the story behind Jali wall? Who invented it? Jali wall was, to my understanding, it was invented by a foreign architect, I think Laurie Baker. And Laurie Baker had invented that particular Jali wall while working in Kerala. He's a foreign architect, but he was working in Kerala to come up with some very cheap and some design for a home which can be suitable for the local climate. Everyone cannot afford the concrete and brick and concrete houses in particularly in rural India. So he was working in Kerala, and there some people approached him that we want something which is cheaper, but at the same time it should be comfortable for being living in Kerala, a Kerala environment. And while designing that, ultimately he came up with a Jali wall concept in which the wall and air, the mixture is used to make the houses cool, and also use the locally available material. And that way it became a wonderful invention. The same I can see in the Chhattisgarh also. Whenever I visit the, rural, my ancestral home, and we have a, good amount of rural homes also. So there I found, even in the very hot summer, the houses are very cool. On the top of the house, there will be khaprail will be there. And then what is that? It's called patao. I don't know how you call it. mezzanine floor, a kind of a thing, this there, which is made of wood. And wood is also used that of a locally available wood only, preferably the neem and all that. And I had seen that those are extremely useful, extremely cool, and extremely comfortable to be residing over there. So my point of telling all these examples to you is that the design is there in every part of our living. And the design can be learned not only in the labs, not only in the architecture classes, not only in the fashion technology classes, it can be learned anywhere, everywhere. What is required is that a design thinking. So let us promote this kind of a design thinking in our students, a structured kind of approach, and also see that India, in fact, India is developing very fast. Indian designers are needed in a great number. And we are our design community is doing a wonderful in every aspect, whether in architecture, whether in fashion technology, or whether in other field. I wish that this international conference will add a further new chapter to this cooperation. And also our school of SAP and ASFT, who have taken up this wonderful task, they will be making it even better. And our students, a good number of students are there. They are doing very well, I think, and they're very committed also for their profession. I'm sure they'll be taking new lessons and new type of learning they'll be putting in their overall progression as a professional. So first of all, and maybe in the last, I congratulate the SAP and ASFT for this wonderful organization. All the dignitaries who are sitting, Dr. Dave has joined, and all the other faculty members and students who are there. I wish a very happy, successful program, and I wish that you integrate this learning into your future also. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you for those inspiring words, sir. As we move on to a significant moment in today's proceedings, the official release of the Book of Abstract on recent trends and advancements in the field of designing. This compilation represents the scholarly contributions, innovative ideas, and research insights that this conference brings together from across the globe. To do the honors, I would like to invite the esteemed dignitaries to come forward for the release, please.
So there are 4 technical sessions. So there are 4 technical sessions, and in each session, we have 4 tracks on architecture design, fashion design, interior design, textile design, digital design, and product design. Now, I would like to invite the organizing secretary of this conference, Dr. Ishkiran Singh, Assistant Professor at Amity School of Architecture and Planning, Amity University, Chhattisgarh, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Very good morning, everyone. It is my honor and pleasure to express my gratitude towards your presence. I, Dr. Ishkiran Singh, Organizing Secretary of this two-day virtual international conference, on behalf of Amity School of Architecture and Planning and Amity School of Fashion Technology, Amity University, Chhattisgarh, would like to express my sincere thanks to our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, Honorable Chairman, Sir, Dr. Asim Chauhan, Sir, Honorable Chancellor, Dr. W. Selvamurthy, Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. Piyush Kant Pandey, Sir, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Ma'am, Professor Dr. Sumita Dave, Ma'am, Registrar, Sir, Dr. Suresh Jani, Sir, and respected Design Chair of ASAP, Professor Q.H. Kapadia, Sir, for their trust, motivation, and direction. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our respected Acting Director, Amity School of Architecture and Planning, and HOI Amity School of Fashion Technology, and the convener of this program, Professor Dr. Parampreet Kaur Ma'am, for her guidance and encouragement. I extend my profound gratitude to our esteemed keynote speakers from all around the globe. Dr. Abraham K. Samuel, sir, from Dubai, Professor Dr. Amanda Bridgegood from England, Dr. Cosette M. Joyner Martinez from Texas, for accepting our invitation and taking the time from their busy schedule to grace the event. It would be a great pleasure for the gathering to listen to them and receive the knowledge they impart. I believe this two-day international conference on designing will provide participants with an in-depth understanding of the recent trends and best practices in the varied field of design. My gratitude to the media partners, IT sections, and non-teaching staff too for their utmost support and on-time arrangements. My special thanks go to my colleagues, Architect Neeta Mishra ma'am, Architect Meenakshi Rajput Singh ma'am, Architect Swarna Junghare ma'am, Architect Arpita Das ma'am, Architect Khushbu Sahu ma'am, Architect Thaudam Sudha Devi, Architect Srilekha Haldar, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Mr. Abhay Sahu, Mrs. Annie Ali, Ms. Deep Shikha, and Mrs. Anita for their dedication in the progress of making this event a great success. My heartfelt thanks to our entire Amity fraternity for becoming an integral part of this event. Thank you so much. Now we will proceed with the first keynote speaker session, continuing on the same platform in which we are logged in, for listening to Dr. Abraham K. Samuel, sir, from Amity University, Dubai. I request Meenakshi ma'am to take forward the program. I hope we will be benefited from this upcoming sessions. Thank you. Meenakshi ma'am.
Yes. Hello. 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 Am I audible?
Meenakshi ma'am, are you
Hello.
there? हाँ मैंने उनको एडमिट किया है.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. You can
Am I
continue,
audible?
ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to a two-day international conference on recent trends and advancements in the field of designing. Today is a momentous occasion as we gather here to explore new ideas, share knowledge, and be inspired by leaders in our field. We'll wait for a little time for our keynote speaker to join.
चल ही रहा है मैंने कैसे पसंद हुआ है अपडेट कर रहा हूँ कुछ चीज देख कर अभी तक तो हुआ नहीं रिजॉल्व चेक कर रहा हूँ हाँ ताकि आपका चलिए आ रहा हूँ देखिए हाँ
हाँ रुको, मैं अभी से आ रहा पीछे से।
ज्वाइन नहीं है लग रहा है तो ये हो गया मैम या अभी चलेगा हो गया या चलेगा चलेगा हाँ ठीक है। ये वीवो ऐसी आ रहा है कैमरा क्या नॉट एक्सेस करके क्या कैमरे क्या है है मैं तो चाहिए जाना चाहे काम तो होते हैं चलो अच्छा मैं क्या जाऊँ सुनो ना खड़े रहो ये देखो ये क्या आ रहा है कैमरा के नॉट पॉइंट सही बात
Very good morning, Minakshina.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, fine.
Dear audience, we are pleased to welcome Dr. Ibrahim K. Samuel, an accomplished architect, educator, and researcher with over 25 years of experience in architectural practice and academic leadership across India and the United Arab Emirates. He currently serves as Associate Professor and Program Leader of Architecture at Amity University, Dubai. Dr. Samuel holds an MSc in Construction Project Management from Heriot-Watt University, UK, and a Bachelor of Architecture from the University of Mumbai. He is currently pursuing his PhD at the University of Bordeaux, France, with a focus on sustainable and bioclimatic architecture. His expertise spans architectural and interior design, construction management, and design philosophy. He has played a pivotal role in international collaborations, notably as a core team member of Team Batikul for the Solar Decathlon Middle East 2018 and is actively involved in ongoing sustainability research, including the La Solarium project on water reuse and the AI-driven architectural design interventions. Dr. Samuel is a frequent mentor for student innovation and has guided multiple award-winning teams at prestigious platforms such as Expand North Star Youth X-Pitch competitions 2023 and 2024. His contributions have also earned him special recognition at the Mohammed bin Rashid Award for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. A registered architect with the Council of Architecture India and a member of the Indian Institute of Architects, Dr. Samuel continues to bridge the gap between academia, practice, and environmental stewardship. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Abraham K. Samuel. Sir, please. Hello.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, sir, we can hear you now.
I'll be actually having a video to play, so will the audio, in case if the audio is not hearing, just let me know. So I'd like to share and start. So can I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. In case if there is any technical glitch, because morning there was some issue with the connectivity, that's why there was a delay. I'm very sorry. A very good morning to one and all, and it's a privilege to get this opportunity to have uh, time to share with the theme, which is the recent trends and advancements in the field of designing. A very apt theme to take up to understand how the design is progressing with time. And today I'd like to share upon a story, which is with reference to one of the projects we involved, myself, Abraham Samuel from Amity University, Dubai. Today I'll be sharing the story of a sustainable climate responsive house, a habitat, which is called Biticul. It was actually done for the competition, which is the Solar Decathlon Middle East in 2018. And this was a project which involved from the stage of design to execute, test, operate, and then now it's working as a living lab, which is going through some research process. 1 second, just a second. Okay, so this house actually, I'm facing some trouble with sound, so I don't know whether I'm clear. If there is anything, please stop me and alert me. So this house is a 90 square meter house, which has been considered to be designed based on the solar energy working with photovoltaics It has got several systems that's been taken into consideration to the working with the measure to be climate responsive, to be bioclimatic, to be energy efficient, to be sustainable. So it is the whole competition, which had got 10 contests. And in these 10 contests, each of the contests was having a different award, right from architecture, sustainability, climate conditions, house functioning, communication, energy efficiency, engineering, construction, energy management, innovation, sustainable transport. All these final execution stage. A 14-day period given for the entire 15 teams. This actually execute within a span of 14 days and night. So your entire structure, the design was submitted in phases, and it went through the process of at one level, there was monitoring happening with the performance of the house, and there were tasks also delegated to people living. So each of the houses had got people living, and they were given tasks to see how the house performs with the condition. And then after the 14th period of judging, it was actually with end of the competition, which happened in 2019 November. So we were fortunate to have a winning with the third prize as an overall. And then we also had got from the different competitions for the architecture, for the there were three competitions where we got the first. Would actually let me a more interactive session happen towards the end. And let's look at the video, and then I'll be explaining in detail with reference to the parts. Okay, all going fine, ma'am?
Sir, a little disturbance with the audio.
There is a little disturbance. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm able to understand why is it. But let me play the video.
Okay,
In
yes, sir.
case
Yes, sir.
if you can't hear this, please let me know.
Yes, yes, sir.
Is the sound audible?
No, sir.
No, wait 1 second. There is some glitch going on.
Yes, sir. The video is also not playing.
Let me just
Yes.
replay the whole thing again. Just a second. I'm just sharing again. Just hold on. Yeah, I'm sorry for the delay. Yeah, I hope it should work this time. Then is it audible? Can you hear?
Yeah, it's taking a little time. Yes.
Was it playing or it's not playing?
Yes, sir, with small glitches and no sound.
Okay. No sound. 1 second. Leave my Zoom how to get the sound in 1 second. But the video sound they're not getting it. So. Is it better now? Just stop. Are you able to hear?
No, sir.
The video is also not seen?
The video is playing, but there's no sound.
There's no sound. 1 second.
Needs more than anywhere else to protect the individuals. Just the such
Is it heard now? Or still it's not hearing?
Yes, there was sound, but not very clear, sir.
Not very clear. Let me play the
Yes,
video.
yes.
I'll explain
Yes,
it.
yes,
Because
yes, sir.
there's some glitch happening. I don't know how to solve. Yeah.
Yes.
for fresh materials. And lights system.
So I'll just get back. I hope the video was not that clear, but never mind. We'll actually take you explaining from the beginning. So let me just share my screen again. So that's the beginning to what the project was. I'll be actually taking you, this entire project went through a phase. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, went through a phase from design to the students involved in building up. So the elements were partly built in France. It was shipped to Dubai, and then the assembly happened at the Dubai campus. And this entire assembly was done in a modular form because this house was supposed to be constructed at the competition site in 14 days. So keeping that challenge, the house was divided into 3 blocks. The whole 3 blocks were built as a core at the campus. And then it was broken down into 3 parts. And in these 3 parts, it was actually taken over the trailer, transported to the competition site. And at the competition site, we had only 14 days and 14 nights to assemble. So at the competition site, it went through a rigorous shift of students and faculties and people from the industry working together for shifts where we had the morning shift, the afternoon shift, and the night shifts who were actually trying to put all the structure from the core to the finishing to the systems operational to be ready for the competition phase. So that was actually very challenging because you have got a very stringent timeline and you had to make it operational to make the house ready for visits and as well as monitoring. So the house was completed and the project got over. The entire competition ended up in 2019. And then 1 year we kept the house at the same competition site with monitoring, research and testing. And after a year, there was a COVID. At that period, there was a little lull where we had to actually take a little break of 6 months. And then in 2021, the house got shifted to another location where we have actually installed the entire house now as a living lab, which means the house is actually working as a house with inhabitants who come as researchers, who are students who live, who help us work the systems, monitor, develop it further, enhance, test it, and see how the house can actually be better or optimized to give a performance which then can be taken to the level of further publications and research and patents and other innovations which can be shared with the industry. So the whole objective is a house. So now I'll actually take the whole 5 minutes to explain the design. If you have anything which is glitching, please stop me because I'm not able to understand whether what I'm speaking is getting through or if my sound is audible. So if you feel my sound is not audible, just stop me. So let me explain the house. The house is basically a house designed to work with both passive and active, a hybrid system, because UAE becoming a place which is very warm. We call it the extreme warm condition. And the climate here has temperatures reaching to more than 50 degrees in several months. So we have to make this house which actually has to work through all the seasons. So we have the summer, we have the winter, and we have a transitional season. So there are certain seasons where we cannot have the house take benefit of the external climate conditions. And there are certain times we can actually benefit it with taking all the best of what the climate is when it's comfortable. We have certain seasons where the night is very cold and the day is hot, so we can actually take benefit of the night. So the design strategy was done in such a way that the house, it has got an architecture which is influenced from the more Emirati house, where the house is very closed from outside and it has a courtyard and open from inside. So if you look at the house, it's having least openings to the external and all the openings facing towards the courtyard inside. The house had got the space planning done in such a way that it can work both as a living and a co-working space. So it can transform in the morning to an office and in the night to actually a living, a home, where you can actually say that if you open up the central area, the two doors on the two sides, the whole house becomes like an open space where one on the left can be used for the offices, the one on the right for more formal spaces, and the one at the bottom row acts for all the service and technical based activities. A lot of aspects taken in terms of energy, water, biological, vegetative, in terms of health and wellness. So these were the parameters considered while the design was taken. The house actually on a technology front was designed with a wall system, which was a little different from what has been worked in UAE. So it has a breathing wall. It has got a multi-layered wall where the structural core is made up of something called as cross-laminated timber with insulation outside vapor barrier and a very hardcore concrete with porous membrane. The porous membrane is something which doesn't let the heat be trapped. It lets the heat dissipate when the wind actually tries to brush through the structure. The glazing, again, shielded by the, we call this jali system, which is in UAE called as the mushrubia. And that actually tries to shade the openings and trying to let the solar heat gain be reduced. And at the same time, the house has got a form which has been derived, or the architectural form is done in such a way that when you sit in the courtyard, the house has got the slope inward, which has got the roof with all the vegetative system. So when you actually sit in the courtyard, it actually lets you give a visual comfort of the greens around. And at the same time, the vegetative system is something which cuts the solar heat, and it actually becomes a membrane which actually is trying to be a thermal barrier, and it actually makes the air conditioning take a lesser load. So again, looking at the whole house wall system, this is how the wall works. So if you just look at it, it has got the concrete panel, which you can see in the picture, which is porous. There is a air gap, which acts like an insulator. There is a vapor barrier, which does not let the vapor affect the insulation material inside. A thick layer of insulation, which is again very environmental friendly, made out of sawdust, which is composed, which is not used with any chemical composition inside. A layer of cross-laminated timber, which acts like a structural core. Now, there is something very interesting about the inside. In the inside, there is a lining of clay tiles. Now, this clay tile is something which is very interesting, where what it does is it actually tries to capture all the moisture in the air when the house is used, or the inhabitants, when we inhale and exhale, we actually have got a lot of humidity also in the air from the environment. So what the clay tiles do is it actually has the hygrothermal capacity to absorb the moisture. At the same time, whenever the air conditioning is being worked, it actually tries to capture the cool in it and keep with the thermal mass to hold the temperature. And when the house is working through the day, it dissipates that coolness into the air inside, which actually is helping to reduce the energy load by less use of air conditioning. So the whole wall was a system which is in layers, and the finishing layer to the wall was a fabric, which is called as a Barisol breathing fabric, which does two functions. One is it lets the air dissipate or the moisture dissipate into the wall, the clay tiles. And second is it also acts with giving an acoustical performance for the space. So that was the one of the systems which was worked. It has got an entire energy system with solar panels, which has been done with building integrated photovoltaic panels, where it actually has been integrated on the roof as a dynamic pergola, which can open and close. So the beauty is in the daytime, the pergola is closed so that you cannot have the sun rays hit directly into the space. So it gives comfort to use the courtyard. And in the night, when you want the visibility of the stars and the sky, it opens out, and it also helps to flush out the heat. So what happens is it lets the air just take its path. So on the northern side, the house faces with the large opening and the entrance, and the southern side with the least opening, east and west, the openings smaller, but again shielded. So that's how the house functions in terms of having a very passive strategy use. One of the main important energy strategy was to optimize production and minimize consumption. It's not that you just put solar panels to any extent. Use as what is required, not overuse. At the same time, try to work with systems where you try to minimize consumptions by trying to make best use of your design, with the systems giving the best performance or the wall systems giving the best performance to balance with the energy used by others. The second aspect of the house, which was actually the very important one, which is called as the biological system. Now here we have the vegetative system, where we had two things. One is the vegetative systems on the roof, where it acts like a medium both to engage. So the inhabitants would be engaged in this, where they would actually be exercising the act of maintaining them, working on them, where is a physical exercise, a mental exercise happening. And second is it actually cleans the air. It actually gives a freshness. It invites all the butterflies, birds, and the ecosystem is actually balanced. So you have the biodiversity factor taken care. At the same time, the whole the layer of soil, which is actually the light pit moss soil, which is actually on the roof, cuts the heat and reduces solar heat gain onto the inner part, the indoors. In the courtyard, there was another system, which is the aquaponic system. Here, this had got two things. One is there is a fish tank where we have the fish which is getting they are cultured. At the same time, the water which is recycled, the gray water, is taken through the aquaponic system to give hydroponic plants which is edible, and at the same time the water gets filtered. So that was the second system, where all the water, whatever was used in the house, was 100% reused in terms of the gray water, and there was a biological system developed for this entire process of filtration. The house actually went through entire process. It's still going through the testing process, where we checked with the air tightness. There is monitoring happening with temperature, humidity, CO2, the conditions of the house with living, non-living, the conditions of the house when it's ventilated, not ventilated. So the house has a complete intelligent system where there is a BMS working to get the data as logged. And at the same time, there is a weather data also stationed, taken from the station point. And the most important is, as I talk, it's an action which is taken for a climate. And what's very important for us as designers today is not just to design buildings, but to think about what are we designing and whom are we designing for? What is the situation and what is that it would be tomorrow? Today, we're all facing the blunt of the climate, the whole difficulties and the challenges with we adapting to whatever is coming up. But when we are adapting as designers, there's a question that comes up. Are we actually doing the right way to make sure that what we do has a positive impact, rather than create systems which is energy consuming, non-healthy, and on a long term has got very diverse effects to all the ecosystem, the humanity, the people living. So what is very important as a message, which I would like to conclude in today's talk, is that whatever design, whether you be designing buildings or whether you be in the fashion industry, whether you be in any technology side, we have a decision making happening. We have got to work with a certain things which is our responsibility. And as a responsible professional, we always need to think about what is the outcome of our actions, and are we taking any step? Do we have anything? Do we have a assessment of what we have been doing? Do we take the step to make a change? And that's what my presentation was about. And there, I have the video link if you all are interested to watch through it further. There is a website called as byticool.com. The consortium is still working. We have the research ongoing. I'm still with the research working, and it's a beautiful learning exercise, right? Building up, putting our hands onto the work and looking at different systems. Actually, I just explained to you three systems. There are more. The photovoltaic system is also having a research happening between the difference between the horizontal, vertical, and orientation with reference to energy production consumption. There is research happening in terms of air quality. There is research happening in terms of technology side, water conservation measures. So since the time is too short, I would like to give more time to hear from the participants if they have anything to ask for. And that's what the bicycle story is all about. And all of you are welcome. Anytime you're traveling by Dubai, you can actually visit us, and we would be happy to help you with sharing our knowledge. So, ma'am, I would open up the platform for any questions. And before actually I get to the questions, let me thank Dr. Parampreet Kaur, who actually gave this opportunity for me to share this knowledge and be a part of this event. And to architect Meenakshi Singh, who actually is coordinating the session and is helping with all the glitches and considering me with all the problems that's going on. I hope the sound had got some difficulties, but the video is there on the web link too. If you want, you can actually go. There are a lot of informations that's been shared, and we look forward to learn from each of you. So I open the platform for further questions. Please feel free to ask any question, because for us, every question is important. No question is lame, and every question is thinking for us, because we are more learning than teachers.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It was a delight to witness the project from the conception to the execution part, especially in the weather, like where you have very harsh weathers, like in the Middle East and Dubai. So, I have studied in one of my subjects, like in masters, vernacular architecture. So I have taken that the arid areas. Yes, sir. So I have
Wow.
studied. Yes, sir. So I studied
So
about
that's,
the masharbiyas and everything.
yeah.
So yes, it was a delight to hear.
Yeah, actually speaking, there are, when we say it's harsh, in history, there was a time when there were no electricity,
Yes.
and there were these measures and strategies taken which were very comfortable. So what has happened is that over time, we've actually switched to new technology and system, but actually there should be a balance in our actions where we can become more sensitive when we balance between the passive and active, so that our reliance on energy is not to just produce because we can produce, or not to spend because we have the power to spend. It's to make sure that it's a environment we are working with. So when we say we have got photovoltaics, let's not have it more than what we require. Or when we say we have got a house, it's not just a building, but it's a eco-responsive house. So where you say that there's a space for a butterfly too, a bird too, and every creature with a biodiversity balanced.
Yes, sir. I request participants to please post their questions if they have any on the chat box.
Dr. Samuel, am I audible to you?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
audible, sir. You're audible,
Yeah.
sir.
It was very wonderful listening to you, and particularly from Dubai, where you are located. I visited Dubai also, and your campus also a beautiful campus which is there. So it's really wonderful to see you over here. And I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
That this eco-friendly living which you are promoting, and a wonderful lecture also you have given. How far is the adaptability and adoption of this technology in Dubai?
Yeah. So
UAE
what happens
particularly.
is, so what happens is in UAE, the culture of living presently is that since we have got energy, we have got money power, everybody is going for a very automated, air conditioned and 100% without connect with nature. That's what the attitude is. But slowly things are changing because people are starting to feel that life also has got some connect with earth, nature. There is something where we feel a disconnect when we are in a building. So what happens for a person living in the climate here is that we switch between, we move from an air conditioned indoor to a basement into an air conditioned car to an air conditioned mall to an air conditioned office. So what happens is somewhere you start feeling that you get disassociated with nature. And, and so what happens is you feel there is a need, there is an urge. So in the present time, the thought process are changing. So the architecture, which was more introverted, started opening up. So we can actually see that in all sectors, all typologies. Earlier, the malls used to be like buildings which are totally like a whole inward looking box. Now we have city walks. Now we have got promenades. Now we actually have got the whole environment that need not be fully air conditioned, but you have an example of Masdar. If anyone is interested, you can read about Masdar, where it actually is a balance between where you can have energy to condition where you cannot live without air conditioner, but there are spaces that can be put closely and you can create an environment which is not as comfortable as an air conditioner, but is habitable. So where the wind can actually do, so there is an intervention of a burjeel, a wind tower, there is an intervention of evaporative cooling. So people are slowly trying to adapt it, not 100%, but I think so. There is a drive seen with awareness.
Okay. And
So
is there
slowly, I
any,
think,
okay,
and
is there any incentive for adopting this eco-friendly?
yeah. So what happens is if you've heard about the rating systems like Leeds, there is a rating system called Estidama, which is more a UAE centric, which has been initiated from Abu Dhabi. So they are promoting it in a big way with a Pearl rating system. So with the Pearl rating system, even Leeds does it. So what happens is people have now become conscious to the fact that if I can switch to a mode, it's actually more environment friendly. So there is incentives from the government too. Especially there are shams, there are projects initiated for that. So there are a lot of, in fact, if you see now they're even promoting vegetative agriculture, which actually is very difficult in this region, but they're promoting it in a big way and not at a larger scale, but at a domestic scale too.
Okay. Nice to know because because I've visited that place, so it made me even more able to align with your presentation. Good, very nice. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir. If the students any question they have later too, they can send a message across and ma'am can share. We would actually be happy to share the literature and because what happens is every thought process is also a thought to us to think. So some of your questions can lead us because it's an ongoing research and we are involved on a day-to-day level. So for us, it's a learning curve.
Thank you, sir. We will definitely want your detailed lecture on this thing because it's a new field which we are talking about. We are academician and how we can contribute to the current world scenarios and how we can actually put design first so that we can live better. So that's an insight which is not only nice to hear but very encouraging as well for us.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
actually, as an answer to you, we as designers, we create a lot of problems. I think
yes.
we are there to solve a problem, creating one solution to one problem, giving birth to 10 new problems. So as designers, I think we need to also not be just driven by the visual aspect. We need to also look at the scientific aspect, the performance aspect, the technological aspect, and probably that awakens.
And we have the opportunity to influence young minds as well so
Yeah,
that we
very
can make better architects for tomorrow's and designers.
true. True.
So thank you. Thanks a lot. Is there any other question, Meenakshi ma'am? I think most of us are very muted at the first, so
Okay, I know.
probably that
I
has
know.
that has deteriorated.
Actually, for
Thank
me, it took a little while to connect because it's
yes.
been a while after the a long time using the platform. So it went to relearning to acclimatize and get to all the working tabs. Fine.
Thank you so for joining us. And we will look for the future collaborations with you.
Sure. 100%. Anytime we would look forward to working together.
Thank you. Now I hand over this to Meenakshi ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir will share the questions once
Please.
they are posted. Yes, for the answer.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I'll be joining the next link for the next session.
The next session will be around 12:30. So
Okay.
the link will
So
be shared.
this time.
Yes.
Thanks.
So we
Thanks a
are
lot.
continuing with one of more keynote speaker.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Dear audience, our next keynote speaker, Dr. Amanda Briggs Good, will join at 12 noon. So I request all the participants to stay logged in. We'll be back by 12.
Good morning. You okay?
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning. Hi.
Hello.
Bye.
I don't seem to be able to share my screen.
You are not able to share your screen?
No.
So I got your presentation. I'll share it.
Okay, so if I just say next slide, you'll be able to move that on.
Yes, yes, yes. I'll just try it again once.
Good morning, Dr. Amanda. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you.
How's the weather there?
The weather is very nice, actually. It's a warm, sunny day today.
Wow, wonderful.
We're expecting storms later.
Okay.
Doesn't like to give us sun.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
In India, we are having hot summers are going on.
I'm not sure whereabouts you are in India, actually.
It
Are
is
you in the south?
no. It is in the central India, Raipur.
Okay.
Raipur is the capital of the state of Chhattisgarh. And Amity University, Chhattisgarh is located at Raipur only.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've been to Delhi and I've been to Jaipur, but I've not traveled very extensively in India.
So we extend our warm invitation and do visit us offline also, in person also.
Thank you.
Any plan to visit India in the near future?
No, I don't have any plans right now. No. But I think there is a conference in not next year, the year after that I'm looking at attending. So not near future, but in the future.
Okay, so Dr. Parampreet, be in touch with Dr. Amanda.
Sure, sir.
Whenever she visits India, maybe invite her to our campus also.
Oh, thank
Sure,
you.
sir.
Great.
Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon again. It's now my honor to introduce and welcome our next most distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Amanda Briggs-Good, a distinguished academic and researcher in the textile design, currently serving as Professor of Textiles, Head of the Department of Fashion, Textiles and Knitwear Design, and Director of the Fashion and Textile Research Center at Nottingham Trent University. Professor Briggs-Good has over 30 years of experience spanning textile education, research leadership, and commercial design. Her work bridges heritage, innovation, and sustainability in fashion and textiles. She leads a vibrant academic department and a multidisciplinary research center focusing on culture and heritage, sustainable transitions, and advanced textile research. Her research is internationally recognized with major projects such as Textile Tales, which captures the lived experiences of textile workers, and an Internet of Soft Things, exploring the intersection of smart textiles and well-being. She has secured substantial funding from bodies including EPSRC, NERC, and the Heritage Lottery Fund, and works closely with archives, museums, and industry. Professor Briggs-Good is also co-chair of the Association of Fashion and Textile Courses and a peer reviewer for several leading journals and the Arts and Humanities Research Council. She has published extensively with notable titles including Printed Textile Design and Crafting Anatomies, and regularly curates exhibitions and presents at international conferences. Her deep commitment to collaborative, interdisciplinary, and socially engaged research makes her a vital voice in the global conversation on sustainable and responsible futures in fashion and textiles. Dear audience, please join me in welcoming Professor Amanda Briggs-Good.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think you're going to be sharing my slides.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much for inviting me to share some of my research with you today. And I'm going to talk about a project that I'm working on currently. It's an 18-month project, and it's being completed as part of a funded project called Back to Baselines. And this project is being funded by the UKRI, and specifically NERC, which is the Natural and Environmental Research Council. And they've invested quite a lot of money in the UK in looking at sustainable and circular approaches to design. So next slide, please. The Back to Baselines project it aims to map the UK fashion and textile industry and provide a baseline of current sustainability and circularity practice. There are 5 thematic areas in this project, and the project is actually being run from the University of Leeds. And the 5 areas are eco-credentials, eco-targets, innovations, behaviours and cultures, and the thematic area that I'm leading on, which is about skills, and specifically circular and sustainable fashion and textile skills in the UK industry. So on the slide, you can see that we have a number of objectives, and we are looking across 3 key areas. So the key areas relate to looking across and talking to industry and the professional realm, education and the consumers. And the objectives are really about investigating the sort of best practice in skills developments to support the transition to a sustainable and circular fashion and textile industry, identify what skills gaps are emerging or are apparent within the industry, and to test and model sort of new approaches. So in this presentation today, I'm going to focus on a discrete piece of research which was undertaken to assess the alignment of UK higher education courses and provision with the industry needs for sustainable and circular fashion and textile design skills. And it draws upon a pilot focus group comprising of HE educators to explore the perceptions of what the best practice in learning and teaching is for sustainable and circular fashion and textile design, as well as the kind of perceived and intended graduate skills with industry needs, and the challenges involved in design and delivery and assessment of course content and assignments. So the work that we're doing currently is the last 6 weeks, I've been sort of in very intensive phase of focus groups and interviews with industry and education. So I'm reflecting here on a pilot focus group that we ran a couple of months ago to really test, to make sure that our focus group and our questions were working adequately. So next slide, please. So I'm going to start with a sort of an overview of the circular economy. I'm sure many of you are aware of this, but the circular economy is proposed by governments, practitioners and academics as a more sustainable model for fashion and textile industry to address the negative impacts of production. So in the UK in particular, there are kind of a number of multi-stakeholder organisations, an organisation called WRAP, who focus on fashion textiles as well as food, as well as packaging. And they've produced a Textiles 2030 work scheme that many of the industry are signed up to work with. There are also other kind of sustainable constructs that we work with the EU strategy for sustainable and circular textiles, as well as the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And Ellen MacArthur Foundation has many approaches to sustainable fashion textiles. One of them is this jeans project that you can see the reference to here. But all of them are really focused on responding to and developing innovative approaches dealing with the planned legislation and focusing on environmental and carbon reduction targets. So circular fashion and textiles is more complex than the typical linear approaches. And that's because they affect every stage of the product life cycle, including the post-consumer stages. And at the bottom, you can see on the slide, you can see the kind of 5 boxes that are to do with the linear model, where, you know, there's a focus on get the resources, we deal with production, we deal with distribution, consumption, and then we have a lot of textile product waste, which goes into landfill, is taken around the world, and there is little responsibility taken, particularly at that end point. Whereas the circular approach is trying to kind of, connect every stage up together, minimize waste, minimize the use of raw materials, and really build in design for longevity, design for recovery, and have a plan for recovery and after use of products. So with these two models, one that is the kind of main model that we're using now, and the circular model that we're trying to move to, inevitably across the industry there are skills gaps emerging, and there is a kind of a proposed need for further and enhanced scientific and technical skills for designers being required by the industry, as well as a kind of an ability to innovate and collaborate with interdisciplinary stakeholders, particularly across functional silos. So people across the industry being able to talk to each other more effectively. Next slide, please. So universities are in the UK are increasingly incorporating sustainable and ethical principles into their research agendas and their curricula. A recent survey by the British Fashion Council of UK academics who are teaching on creative fashion and textile design courses found that 79% of academic staff claim that they are mainstreaming circular design principles. However, as circularity is not yet widespread, it's not a fully functioning system. It's getting very close to that now, but it's not fully functioning within the industry yet. There's potentially sort of many variations in understanding and interpretation by educators in higher education, and a mismatch between the intended graduate skills and those that the industry currently demands. Design in its broadest sense is proposed as the foundations of sustainable, circular and sustainable fashion and textile design. And this has the potential to extend and enrich the designer role. Circular initiatives related to raw materials and production are much more well established and functioning within the current mainstream fashion and textile industry. And they tend to be led by experts in sustainability, sourcing and textile technology, working across functional teams and directing designers in material choices and manufacturing routes. The more creative and design-led approaches, such as design for zero waste, remake, design for physical, emotional durability, versatility and disassembly, have more potential to be led by designers, but are not yet widely established due to the need for fundamental changes within the industry business model to achieve this circularity. Next slide, please. The content of university degrees in fashion and textile design and the intended graduate skills and attributes are shaped by several factors and stakeholders, including the ongoing globalization and shifting of supply chains, the rise of e-commerce and digital marketing, and the growing discourse on sustainability in response to the negative environmental and societal impacts caused by significant growth in global clothing consumption. Employability is an important consideration in UK higher education, and the UK government assess the value of fee-paying degree courses through something called the Graduate Outcome Survey, which maps graduate employment routes and salaries. Academic and industry experts have highlighted the need to anticipate how job roles and skills will develop as sustainability and circularity becomes more widespread. And experts suggest that fashion and textile designers require knowledge of circular design principles, technical knowledge of sustainable materials and manufacturing processes, and the skills to apply them in practice and/or to collaborate with interdisciplinary stakeholders across functional silos to enable sharing and the development of novel and innovative solutions. In the longer term, more fundamental change is proposed in fashion and textile designer education in response to the shift towards circularity and advances in digital technology, material innovation and automation, which may disrupt the sort of traditional fashion and textile roles. Next slide, please. So Postlethwaite advocates that design students should have access to new technologies, develop enhanced research skills, and critically challenge current thinking and practice in fashion and textile design, supported by new modes of delivery, which foster transdisciplinary working and closer relationships with industry. While university fashion and textile degree courses incorporate learning and teaching approaches related to sustainable and circular fashion into course content and assessment strategies, they are doing so while also addressing the skills and knowledge needed to work within this prevailing linear model that I referred to earlier. Where designers are primarily focused on the rapid turnover of new products driven by fast-changing, digitally driven trends. So the discrepancy between the current and the potential role of designers is further evidenced by an online search in the UK of 60 job advertisements for fashion and textile design roles that were undertaken in a few months ago. And we found that only 2 of these 60 roles asked for sustainability and or circularity knowledge or skills, pointing to design practitioners having low involvement in sustainability and a disconnect between intended graduate outcomes and those desired by the fashion industry, and definitely in terms of this kind of circular, future-facing, more sustainable approach. Next slide, please. So moving into the focus group that we held with 5 academic staff from across textile courses, fashion, knitwear, and a professor of fashion and textile practice. We asked a number of questions, around 18 questions, and I'm going to reflect on 3 of them in a little bit of detail here. So we asked about how they were teaching sustainability and circularity, what sort of approaches, what sort of frameworks they were using to inform the learning and teaching strategies, what sustainable, circular and fashion design skills were being addressed in the curriculum, in the teaching, and how the students were assessed and how those aligned with the perceived industry need. And we're also going to reflect on what challenges exist in addressing sustainable and circular skills requirements for graduates studying on fashion textile design courses. So this was a focus group. It was recorded and transcribed, and the findings, the conversation was analysed thematically in relation to the research questions. So the next slide, please. So the participants outlined in relation to the kinds of frameworks and approaches that were informing their learning and teaching. They outlined a number of frameworks which were employed to contextualise sustainability conceptually. They were covering the full breadth of environmental, social and economic impacts, which included the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the circular economy. The university where we spoke to these members of staff, their university has an optional sustainability in practice certificate, which is offered to all students across the university, which was being utilised as a teaching method. There's an initiative which is called Fashion Fictions, which was being led by a professor in the university that these staff were focused in, and that was being utilised in the curriculum as well as some sort of external projects to university, like TEDS 10, which has been developed by Rebecca Early, which are strategies for thinking about sustainable and circular design, as well as the Durability Dozen, a similar product development sort of strategy toolkit to extend clothing lifetimes. The most common sustainable learning and teaching approaches were related to waste reduction, that they refer to, in particular, zero waste pattern cutting, or the creatively repurposing of pre and post-consumer waste. However, although circularity was taught as an overarching framework, these were applied as standalone approaches rather than being considered and thought about and taught as a full product life cycle. Next slide, please. So the participants stated that fashion and textile students undertake learning and teaching based on a range of learning outcomes designed to support the development of desired graduate skills and develop their graduate knowledge and skills of both subject-specific and generic transferable levels. Subject-specific knowledge and skills included the practical ability to ideate design, make and visually communicate fashion and textile products, and also reflect on the professional practice in the discipline, demonstrating commercial awareness and the influence of global macro trends. Generic graduate knowledge and skills included self-management, critical analysis, team working, social skills, communication, presentation and research skills were also being addressed in the teaching and learning strategies across a number of projects that the students were completing throughout their degree. Participants noted that the subject-specific learning outcomes related to sustainable and circular fashion and textile design were written using broad terminology, such as design responsibility, which can encompass additional ethical approaches, such as design for inclusivity and or social justice. And this enables a degree of choice for the students in their self-directed project briefs, but may not lead them to consider fully the environmental concerns of sustainability and circularity. And one of the participants said that some students pay lip service to sustainability through their learning outcomes. And the quote here that you can see on the screen, she said, "You'll have some that do this really well and they've really got it. And then other students, I've used some scrap yarn and that's it. And that's really hard to assess." Another participant agreed, stating that it was difficult for many students to locate the sustainability aspects of their work in a broader industry context. And all participants felt that the required generic skills to support sustainable and circular fashion and textile design were already written into module learning outcomes, citing examples of research and analysis and of collaborative team-based projects and optional cross-school modules which encouraged transdisciplinary working. The fashion and textile design courses that were represented in the focus group addressed employability through specialised career support and engagement with the industry through placement and work experience opportunities and live projects, some of which did have a sustainability dimension written into those projects. Next slide, please. So in asking about what challenges existed in addressing sustainable and circular skills requirements for the students who were studying on the fashion and textile design courses represented, the focus group participants raised a series of challenges related to embedding sustainable and circular fashion and textile design within the curriculum, identifying that more content such as sustainable and circular practice, digital design processes such as AI, such as CLO, such as Lectra, these new practices that were being added into the fashion and textile curriculum was resulting in increased pressure on time and the resources for the staff to deliver it, and for the students to learn and apply it within their design projects. So really a time pressure on how many hours are available in the curriculum with so many new things emerging. In the UK, in particular, the challenges were around differences that have been made to the school curricula. So at the school curricula, there are 2 exam points in the UK at 16 and 18, and changes to the technical requirements around design and particularly textiles has meant that the students have been arriving with a lower level of technical skills in textiles, which has meant that the first year of the degree the educators have had to allocate more time to upskilling those first year students. Staff reflected on students being reluctant to focus on technical content, and they prioritised creative approaches, despite recognising that materials are fundamental building blocks for sustainable and circular fashion and textiles. And a mismatch between participants. Some of the people in the focus group have academic research experience around sustainable and circular fashion and textiles, and they were able to utilise that knowledge within their teaching and guide the students. But in contrast, there were some staff who felt that there were some gaps in their knowledge, and that actually, because there is so much research in this area coming through, that it was really difficult to find the time to research the different debates and issues that are coming through in sustainable and circular fashion textiles to inform their teaching. So next slide, please. So to summarise, the challenges for the educators in higher education is to address the skills required for the current design roles in the fashion and textile industry, which still relates very much to that linear model, but while also preparing and talking to the students about that future skills need. So the potential implications include the time and the cost incurred to develop and implement new sustainable and circular learning and teaching approaches, the need to support the development of educators' skills and knowledge, and to engage with industry to anticipate and influence the changing skills requirements. So since this pilot, further qualitative research with fashion and textile design educators. Oh, my light's gone off. Based at different UK institutions has occurred, aiming really to develop a toolkit that will be useful for academics and teachers, that kind of draws together a consensus about what best practice for learning and teaching could be in delivering sustainable and circular approaches. And as I said at the beginning, we've also now begun our qualitative research with industry to ask specifically what skills they need to help them drive circularity forward as well. I think accurately predicting what the future skills demands are for fashion and textile designers is a transitional process, and I think it is going to emerge rather than being something that can be identified right at this minute. So that is the conclusion of my presentation. There is a slide with some references on, and I'm certainly happy for those to be shared with anyone who is interested in some of the publications that I've looked at. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, ma'am. The floor is now open for the questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Parampreet, and my question is, when discussing the studio output, how do you decide between the designing new and working in sustainability, when working in the field of sustainability, when you're designing the products which students have designed? How do you work with that? Because we teach circular economy in one terms, but when we are giving students the design projects, then how we can incorporate them and where to limit these things?
So very much when we're working with live projects, we're very keen to prioritize live projects that might be proposed that have a sustainable element. So when there's an industry real need, and they've got a particular aspect of sustainability or circularity that they might wish to look at, then we're very keen to develop those live projects. So then all students have to address that. And that's a much more satisfactory kind of part of the process. If the students are writing their own design briefs, then it is really down to them how they examine and how they look at sustainability or circularity. And as I mentioned in the talk, I think the kind of more generic ways that we've talked in assessment strategy. So how are you taking account of design responsibility? The breadth of that language enables students to think very much about kind of design ethics or inclusive design, and not necessarily tackle head on the sort of real sustainability concerns around, carbon emissions or really challenged. So I think that those are the challenges, really, is that I think we all need to, what emerged from this focus group was that we all need to tighten up what we're asking the students to do. So it's much clearer to them how they need to address these environmental concerns that we all have about the planet. And I think using kind of frameworks like the UN sustainability framework, and some of the other frameworks, and asking the students to work to those principles is incredibly useful. And some students take that very seriously and want to utilize those. Others, are not keen to do that, and that is their prerogative when they're writing their own design briefs. I hope that answers your questions, Parammeet.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Meenakshi?
Rajiv sir, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How can fashion schools collaborate with industries to ensure that students are being trained in relevant future-proof skills?
Well, I mean, I guess it's about developing and building your networks with industry, and asking them what their challenges are, how they'd like to approach, and how your students can be useful in that process. I mean, I think sometimes we've had companies approach us saying, we don't really know what to do, and actually, how could your students help us innovate and think about new approaches and new methods? So we've worked with them and designed a project that the students can respond to. So I mean, my experience of working with universities in India, you have such brilliant relationships with your local industries, and I'm sure that they're very keen to work with you. I don't know what your kind of governmental legislation is around sustainability and circularity that's coming through in India. But I know in the UK that it's the legislation aspects of it that are driving the businesses to think about how they're going to respond to this and what they're going to do. So I guess it's kind of coupling up those things and utilizing your networks to have those conversations.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My next question is, what are the main gaps you see between what students are taught and what the industry needs regarding sustainable practices.
Yeah, so I think I kind of reflected briefly in the presentation on the fact that our students are very keen to be creative. They come on to creative design-led courses, obviously, because they are the things that interest them. But I think we've perhaps need to put more technical and scientific knowledge back into the curriculum. So I think we've perhaps lost some of that more technical knowledge in the UK generally, as students have kind of like expressed more and more desire to be creative. So I think that is a gap, and I think that is the challenge that UKHE need to address. And I don't know what your curriculum is. My experiences at some institutions in India is that I think there were some good levels of technical skills still being and scientific skills being taught in India, but I think that's the gap that we've identified, really.
Okay, thank you so much for your insightful answer, ma'am. It was truly enlightening and has given us a deeper understanding of the skills needed for sustainable and circular fashion. Next question is from Dipsika, ma'am, please.
We can read it out.
Okay.
How can yes. Okay, I will read it out.
Yeah.
How can fashion and textile education frameworks better integrate emerging technology and sustainable design principles to prepare students for a rapidly evolving digital-driven industry?
I think there's some amazing frameworks out there, actually, and I think the students could use the design-led frameworks much better than they are, and that is obviously guided by academic staff. So I've been to a lot of seminars and conferences and events over the last year that I've been working on this project, and I hear a lot of people saying design is the answer to this. So design for longevity, design for de-assembly of product so that things can truly move into that circular end, the real end of life, the end of life of that product. And there is a lot of work going on in trying to mechanically recycle, to chemically recycle, but actually longevity, durability, and disassembly are really important. And actually designers can really help and be at the forefront of making some of those changes. But it seems to me there is a gap where the industry isn't yet taking that on board. They're not perhaps giving designers in industry the responsibility to fully integrate and fully do that. And I guess that was why I wanted to make the point about we looked at 60 jobs, fashion and textile design jobs in a particular fashion publication a few months ago, and we looked at those over a month, and only 2 of them asked for sustainable or circular skills. So, you know, that to me seems to be a gap and something that, you know, the industry could think about how they can utilize designers to make a difference there.
Ma'am, there are many questions in the line. We will,
Yes.
because of the time constraint, we will be mailing you. And if you have time, you can reply that and we will send it to the sender. Apart from that, ma'am, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts with us. It's a pleasure to hear you and see the different aspect and how globally we are achieving sustainability through fashion. And we would like to collaborate with you in the future, further academic endeavor as well. And you're most welcome to our university. And
Thank you. Very kind. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference. And thank
Yes.
you for enabling me and asking me to be part of it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Meenakshi ma'am, you are.
I request all the participants to switch on their videos for screenshot. Okay.
It is disabled by the.
Yes, it is disabled. Okay. Never mind. Thank you all for joining. Now I invite Mr. Rajiv Kumar sir for the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Amity University, Chhattisgarh, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks for this enlightening keynote session of our two-day international conference. First and foremost, we express our sincerest gratitude to our inspiration and guiding light, our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, Honorable Chairman, Dr. Asim Chauhan, Honorable Chancellor, Dr. W. Salvan Murthy, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Piyush Kant Pandey, and Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sumita Dabe. Your visionary leadership and unwavering support make such academic endeavors possible and impactful. We are deeply honored to have had with us architect Abraham K. Samuel, Associate Professor and Program Leader, Architecture, Amity University, Dubai. Your keynote on climate responsive habitat case study of Batikul offered an exceptional insight into sustainable architecture, innovation, and climate sensitive design. It was truly inspiring to learn from your work in creating the Batikul Living Lab for the extreme climate of Dubai. We are equally grateful to Professor Dr. Amanda Bridge Goodday, Head of Department Fashion Textiling, Knitwear Design, and Director of the Fashion and Textile Research Center, Nottingham Trent University, UK. Your keynote on establishing a skill baseline for sustainable and circular fashion and textile design was both timely and thoughtful provoking. It highlighted the urgent need to re-skill and rethink fashion practices for a sustainable future. A special note of appreciation goes to our esteemed convener, Professor Dr. Parampreet Kaur, Acting Director, Amity School of Architecture and Planning, and Head of Institution, Amity School of Fashion Technology. Your tireless effort, vision, and leadership have been the backbone of this successful conference. Last but not least, heartfelt thanks to all the faculty members, organizers, participants, and attendees for your active involvement and enthusiastic participation. Let us carry the knowledge gained today into our future pursuits, working together to build a more sustainable and design conscious world. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, dear participants. Now we'll be starting with the technical sessions. So please join the respective technical sessions as desired on the time slot given. Thank you.